This is my VCE 2024 art making and exhibiting folio, which I got full marks for. As you can see on the front page, I have rubrics stuck down as well as a checklist just to keep track, and this is just little bits and bobs that I have at the start. Now on the first page we were given the theme of the human condition, and this is me brainstorming to try and find out a theme that I would be interested in. And then this is research about my art form, which was painting. Next you can see my theme research, so I picked 4 themes and kind of just done a word vomit with some Pinterest photos. And then I picked my theme for the year, which was still life of a dull life, and on the right I just did a little mind map type thing. And then here you can see some research about Monica Rohan's fabric, which I really loved. And then I did my first study, which was from Atonement, and I really didn't like it, so I didn't even finish it. But here you can see the second study, which is of Chardin, and the image at the bottom left of that right page is my oil painting study. And I just reflected on that and discussed my process. Here is the research page I did on Lucian Freud. You can see in the middle there a study of his artwork of John Deacon, and then another one of his daughter, and I painted her feet there and just wrote about that artwork. I did another study on a couch from one of Lucian Freud's artworks that you can see at the top right of that left page. Here is Edward Hopper. I loved his artworks and I loved researching that. As you can see, yeah, that was really fun. And then here is Vermeer's research page, because you have to pick 3 artists to research, and that's all the research that I did on him. And then here is my first photo shoot. I'm exploring different subject matter, and this is just around the house, objects that link to my theme. And then I did my first little study there of bed sheets that you can see at the bottom right, and documented my process and reflected on it. Here is my second photo shoot of, again, household items. And then next is the image that I chose, and I just edited that and played around with it a little bit before I painted it. And I decided to paint it in Viridian Green, and it did not really match at all my theme, and as much as I like the oil painting, it just was irrelevant pretty much, which is what I wrote about in my evaluation and my process. So yeah, next is area of study 2. So here I had to make 2 experimental artworks. So this is a photo shoot that I did, but the photos are really small. So here's a zoom in of the ones that I liked, and this is from my mom's bathroom. I just did a little bit of annotating of these, trying to decide which one I wanted to paint. And then here is some more photos that I took that I was deciding between, should I do another close-up of bed sheets, but I decided not to. And this is my process, so I'm documenting everything I'm doing as I'm doing it. And then this is what the photo I ended up choosing, and a reflection next to it, the reference I used. That was my final artwork that flashed on the screen. And then my second artwork I did was quite a bit bigger, and that's what it looks like there. And it's an oil painting of my brother's bed. And then I was just discussing the process. Here is a critique that we did in class, so everyone gives you sticky notes with feedback. Yes, that's what I did for Unit 3. And then this is my Unit 4 folio. So as you can see, starting off with a reflection, I'm just discussing everything that I did with my experiments, how I felt about them and the process and what I planned on doing next. And so here I've refined my subject matter a lot. So most of these images look the exact same, but they're not, I promise. And then this is me annotating the final few to decide which one I want for my final artwork. And so I did a little bit of annotating there, and then this was my final image that I chose, and I printed out two just so one I could have on hand as a reference. Next is my canvas prep, so I stretched, sized and primed the canvas myself, which was a great experience. And then this was my process, so I really documented pretty much every single thing I did. It was a little bit excessive, to be honest, but a huge tip I would have if you're someone who procrastinates doing folio work and stuff like that is to take an audio recording after you finish a painting session and just say, this is what I did, this is the colors I used, this is the techniques I used, this is how I felt about it. And then that way, when you do your folio work, you don't have to think, oh, what was I actually doing on that day? You can just write down exactly what you're hearing. So that is what I did. And then here is a PowerPoint that I had to give, but I actually changed my artist statement. That's why it's crossed out there. And then this was a condition report. And that was what my final artwork looked like. And then I did a final evaluation and reflection about my work and the process and the meaning and everything like that. And then, as you will see, this was my final artwork. It was an oil painting that was around 1.5 meters by 750 centimeters, I believe, roughly. And yeah, thank you for watching.